My name is Ralph Perez. My birthday is July 1st, 1932, and born in Porterville, California. My dad worked with this farmer in Porterville, California, and they had a cotton ranch, and they would farm the cotton and farm the corn. And it's so interesting to watch him plow and cultivate, take the team of horses, make a straight line, come back and plant the cotton after he had made the furrows, come back and make the cotton, come back and cultivate it with horses, not with tractors. I was a little kid, but I can remember all that. We always lived at this little, the ranch house was a little house about, I'm looking at this size here, and there was 3 of us born already. It was me, Carmen, Raymond, and Frank was the only ones born at the time, and that would have been about 1930. I'm going to look at this. I don't remember the race, but it's about 1936, basically. I went to grammar school there, clear up to the 8th grade, and then my dad had to change work. There was no more work for him, so then we had to move from there, move to, the farmer could not be going anymore, so we had to leave and go to Strathmore. Strathmore was another little town which is about 6 miles from Porterville. When we moved over to Strathmore, he didn't know how to do anything else. That's what he knew. So there was oranges to be picked. So he became an orange picker. It was hard to make a living by him alone. So what we did, he bought a trailer, put us in it, and he packed the house, packed our belongings, which we needed to take on a camp, we call it a camping trip. We came all the way from Porterville all the way to Ripon and Manteca. First in Ripon to pick tomatoes, and Brentwood to pick apricots. And from apricots, and that was in end of July. And then we'd go to Hollister from there, drive all the way to Hollister, pick apricots over there. And then from Hollister, we'd come back to Gilroy and pick prunes. That was my crew. In fact, my dad's working here, and my cousin, and this is people that we got from the outside that worked with my dad, and he'd bring the crew over from Gilroy to do this, because it took us about 2 weeks to thin the whole orchard, 25 acres, and he'd thin, we'd get up in the morning, and then in about 2 weeks we'd have it done. But we did that about 3 times. Come from Porterville all the way to Gilroy, and then do the same thing for about 3 years. And finally, the kids, there was more kids on the way, so then we found, and we stayed in a place in Gilroy, found this little house about this size for all of us and the kids. We worked for the harvest for the farm, for the owner, and then my dad would stay there, and then we'd go to school. We started going to Gilroy schools, grammar schools. We wound up with 14 in the family. 14 kids, 15 with me actually, in other words, so there were 15 kids in the family. So, and we lived in this little house about this size. We made it. There's Michael, he's gone, but that's me there. There's Peter, he's still here. This is Andrew, there's Chuco, there's Frank, Raymond, Annie, Margaret, baby Stephen, and Carmen. That's the family there, basically there. My dad needed help, so I had to go to work. I went to work as anything you could find. And in those days, what was easy to find was it's your fields, your lettuce and your crop, any row crop, what we call raw crop, was harvest. It was hard, but that's all there was, so we had to make a living that way. There was me and my sister. My oldest sister was Carmen, and she's the one that we worked together. We get up early in the morning, Mom would wake us up, make our lunch for us, and we get on the crew bus, I call it, and take us all the way to Gonzales. And then down there after that, you get done, you come home. I worked on that for about 2 years, and I figured, no, this is not worth it. I mean, you're making 85 cents an hour. In 10 hours, you make $8.50, but you were still, it was hard work. You're on your back all the time, And finally, you got used to it, but there's still people doing it today, but not me anyway. So then I found a steady job. I went to work for Hennessy Ranch was a walnut farmer. He had about 100 acres in Gilroy, And then my job was to start with him was just to go a hole around the trees, keep the grass from growing around the trees, and then you put some chemicals around the trees so the bugs won't eat them. And then I did that, and then he kept me on, and pretty soon he let me drive the tractor. I could disc the farm, worked on that, we disced the farm, and then pretty soon you could learn more. And he said, well, you can probably sit here and take care of the crews that come in once they start harvesting. And that was really interesting and harvesting, because I mean, I've never seen it done. And then he was the first man to buy a picking machine, and I got to drive it first. But it was really it reminded me of a lawnmower that would just pick the walnuts up and slide it up on you can pull a trailer behind you and you fill that up, and then you take it, and when it's full you unhitch it, they give you another one and keep going. We wound up in Gilroy at this prune place that we picked the last prunes, and Marie happened to be there, and she said, she saw me, and then figured that day, she said that was it. That's what she told me, in other words. That's how I met her during the prune season when we come down to pick the prunes at the ranch. We got married in Madera, Thanksgiving Day, and we were supposed to go on a honeymoon trip, but as it turns out to be, only had $5 after our marriage in Madera. I didn't have no money, we had to come home. They said, you guys will never make it. They said, you guys are too young. Yeah, we were young, actually. I mean, these guys will never make it. No, we had ups and downs, but but life's been good for us. Can't complain. But I worked at the winery, San Martin Winery, before I got married, and the week I got married, the next week they laid me off because that was in November, and there was no more grapes, nothing to do, so they said, we don't have any work for you. So it got tough. I used to work around thinning, anything I could do to make money, and it was so okay. We made it through, and then finally we went, and this farmer in Hollister, I don't know if you're familiar with Trespinos, we went to Hollister, and he hired me because I had talked to him about working for another rancher. He said, if you ever need a job, come and see me. So he said, well, I'll give you a call, and he did call me. We went to work for him and at this ranch in Hollister for 5 years. So he gave us a house. The house was furnished, and he paid me 85 cents an hour in my wages, plus the house, which was a good deal, actually. I thought it was great because we survived. For 5 years I worked there. My daughter was born at the ranch in Hollister, and when she was born, she was my thing, in other words, and whatever I did on the job site, we had a little tractor that would, and I put her on there, in other words, and she loved it, in other words, and she was born there, and then from there she grew up, and then we all came and bought this place here in 1963. And we rented from Constantino, which was a grocery store owner. We lived on his place over here off of Carter Avenue. He had he had his garden supply, but he had the Constantino store. It was on the corner of, I don't know if you're familiar there, but Constantino at the corner of Bascom and Union Avenue was Constantino. And the original store was across the street, and to pay the rent, I would paint his store, I'd take care of him, plus I'd go to work, actually. And finally, everything would start working out for me, and that was Cloris, and then Ralph Perez came along. He was a little different than Clora. Clora was get up and go girl. Ralph Perez was kind of laid back, type. But every time when I work out of town, they'd all wait for Sunday night when I come home, in other words, and I put the music on here, listen to my Western music, and the kids had it all going. Then after that, we go to the pizza place, and going someplace together was always great with the kids, actually, and we always had good family life, I thought, in other words. I retired in '91, and I figured, well, I didn't know what to do. I figured I got the house pretty well fixed up, and I figured, well, I'm going to do this and do that. And then when my daughter got married, this room wasn't here. It was just the house, and she says, well, she wanted to get married in the outside. So what we did, I built this room here. From there, I started to be kind of a handyman. I started, somebody needed something, I repaired it, in other words, and then I do this and I repair it, and pretty soon I learned how to take care of the plumbing, took care of electricity. Actually, when I built the little bar, I figured I'd put it all together. We put a new flooring in, put this bar up, and it's always been everybody wants to come down to the bar and have a drink. You can see it's got a little bit of everything in it. In other words, not that I drink that much, but everybody enjoys it. So that's been our stay-at-home evening time to go have a drink at the bar. In other words, So that's how this came along. My grandson loves it now. He's 27, so he enjoys the bar. I told him I was going to put a new one, and he said, no, just leave it the way it is. I like it the way it is. Christopher, which is my daughter's boy, and Haley, which is my son's. Haley will call up, see how we're doing. Christopher the same way, basically. And you can rely on them, too. If you need something, they'll be there right there for you. Both of them are the same way, which is good, I think, in other words. Sometimes you feel bad because you don't see them all the time, but sometimes you can't do it, in other words, But now that I'm not working anymore, you can, so I got no excuse there. I think family means everything to me, in other words, basically, in other words. That's what, I think that's why when growing up, made you stick together, in other words. Your family, you could always depend on the family. If you had a problem, although maybe they were just as broke as we were, but yet they turn around and find something, a way to help you. And they always kind of been that way, actually. I figured if you need help, always help them out. Even though sometimes you might not be able to help them very much, but at least you made an effort. And they did the same thing for you. And that's what I think that family should be, actually. You don't ignore them and leave them alone and be on your own, because someday you'll need their help. I'm not a person that goes out its way to say I love you and hug you, but I won't let you down.